Hi everyone, 23rd of May, 1 past 9 a.m. on a Tuesday in Australia. Video blog number 30. What am I going to do today? I've got a few things written down and I've had a few requests from some of my viewers on YouTube, and I've written that down, so I will be doing some videos on BitShares and graphene and human IQ and some other things. But what I wanted to do was just a quick update. I think there's a lot of what we would call some energy or panic selling going on at the moment. I think anyone that's been in cryptos from an early stage has been a little bit spoilt, in the sense that there's been some massive gains in a very, very short period of time, and we've just seen that happen again and again and again. We get all very excited, and all of a sudden when we don't see it and we see the market pull back, I think there's some people been dumping their shares and those sort of things. And I've been looking and reading some comments into some of the Telegram chat rooms about people selling their shares, and then it bounces back and they regret it, and they've given away some of their position. So I always say, I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm not going around telling anyone that I know what I'm doing 100%. I think this is such a new thing for everyone that we've got to be mindful. We've got to be very, very cautious about what we do. But I think, don't never trade emotionally. I've made that mistake. I've done it recently as well, and I think what you've got to do is you've got to set your strategy, be clear on it, write it down, and in a lot of ways you've got to stick with it. I think the long-term hold and stack ideology for most people, whether you've got a little bit of money or whatnot, is going to work more often or not. So I'm not a real big speculator. I mean, you've just got to deal with the ups and downs, and we've seen Bitcoin go across the $2,000 mark, and that was an amazing milestone. And it's here on my chart. I've got it's currently at 2135 now. It did get up almost at 23, so it's actually had a correction of around about $200, and which is good. I mean, that's a good thing to happen for Bitcoin, and we've seen Ethereum cross over that $200 or Australian dollar mark here. That's on my chart. I do have Bitcoin in US, and I do have Ethereum and the rest of my coins on my CoinGecko in Australian dollars, so don't be confused by that. But Ethereum is also showing that it's here to stay, and it's starting to really power forward. And then you go and have a look at Dash. Overnight, it's just gone from 126, 128, or 130 odd up over the 180, 190 mark, and what is it? Yeah, 191 it got to, and so it's had a little bit of a pullback from that, because you can't have these aggressive hockey stick looking graphs all the time. And what's been happening with some of this big money, it has been being injected in over a week, 3 days to a week, and people get excited by that, and I think it's done by design. I think they're using bots and slowly feeding in a predetermined amount of capital, and what's happening is that it's inflating the price very deliberately over a period of time, or consecutive days. A lot of people get interested, it creates some excitement, people start investing, they start buying emotionally, the fear of missing out. Quite a number of people are buying on a high, whether we don't know if it's going to keep going or if it's going to dump, and then what's happening is these particular groups are definitely pulling money back out, and even with the price of Bitcoin in the last week or so, a lot of people are interested in Bitcoin, and that they are looking at consolidating and stacking and making sure that they are putting some Bitcoin away, which I think is a wise decision in regards to diversifying and balancing out your portfolio between altcoins and Bitcoin. And I'd have to say Ethereum is in that category too. So you should be stacking at least some Ethereum and some Bitcoin, and then do what you need to do with your alts. But there's no doubt that we're having a correction, or you could say it's a downtrend. But I think all the rules that normally apply to stock trading and things like that are pretty much thrown out the window, because we don't have much history on any of this, and I think there's a lot of compounded energy running into all of these coins. So there's no real history. So it's hard to even work out what's an uptrend and a downtrend, because we don't know what these pump groups and what these power groups are doing in regards to their strategy and using bots and things like that over periods of time to try to milk money out of other investors. And that's what's happening. That's the reality. So my theory is that's why I think the stack long and hold is the bit of a correction. And you can get a little bit disappointed when you look at your blockfolio and there's quite a bit of money wiped off your account, but it's not wiped off. You're still holding those tokens, and you've got to remember that for me, this is a long-term game, and if anything, you just keep buying on the lows. It's a very simple rule. So anyone that's new to this game and doesn't know, they don't have a lot of confidence, I think the best thing is to always invest within your limits and make sure that you have a long-term strategy rather than a short-term strategy. Who cares about the $20 gains and the $100 gains here and there, when you could probably potentially make tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars in the next 2-3 years if you get in early and you do buy while it's young. So yeah, Steam and these other things are still standing quite strong. Ripple's absolutely been smashed. It got up to about 70 Australian cents. So sorry, I'm not speaking in US to all my viewers, but you sort of get the grasp. I mean, it has dropped down to 40 Australian cents. So it's almost halved. And that's another one of those scenarios. It was pumped and pumped and pumped over 2 weeks, and then it's just had this massive drip feed pullback, and I think that's deliberate. And a lot of people don't like the ripples because I think a lot of these bankers are in on it, and there'd be no surprise to me if they're deliberately setting up strategies with their bots, injecting capital over a period of time, creating energy, and then chipping away and improving their own position. So it's already centralised in regards to having 100 billion coins put aside, and they've been in the media this week saying that they're going to lock it away over, I think it was like a year's period or something like that, which is nothing really. And so I'm surprised that that's even hit the media. Like it's fairly irrelevant. If they're going to lock the 100 billion coins up over 10 years or 20 years, I might be more interested in it. But 1 or 2 years, that's not going to entice me, who's a long-term investor, to want to get involved, especially if they're going to go and dump it. And even if it's not an aggressive dump, think about 7-day to 14-day drip feed pullbacks on these coins. That's their strategy. They can do that without being too obvious, and that's what I think's happened with Ripple. So be mindful. I still think Ripple's going to get up over $1, and they're going to do it, but I think they're going to be definitely looking to improve their position over periods of time. So a big pump, slow drip feed off, take whatever they can from other investors, do it again, and vice versa, and just this horrible sort of vicious up and down for a period of time, and then that's going to be their long-term strategy. So no wonder no one really likes it. But I'm invested in it. I've got some, but I'm not going to get involved in their emotional cycle of drip feeding and obviously pulling back on their own market. So Verge and Redcoin were the two speckies that I spoke about the last couple of days. I think they've been pumped and also been pulled back a little bit, but there's no doubt that it's created some new energy, and it's settled down at a new price, around about 40, 50 of a Bitcoin. So pretty cool. And same with Dogecoin. They've all had their own little bit of movement. So getting back to what I was talking about, I think that at the moment we're just seeing a massive adjustment, and that adjustment is that Bitcoin and Ethereum are definitely going to be pushing through. Dash is trying to keep up. They want to maintain their integrity with these other major coins. Where that will lead, I have no idea. I think for me, the long-term goal for me is just looking at the graphenes and Digibyte. I mean, I've got my coins that I'm interested in, and I think everyone's got the same. They've got their own portfolio, so you just got to stick with that and go with there. So that's all I wanted to share with you today. Be mindful, don't panic sell, keep stacking. I think buying on a low is probably the best ideology. Don't just keep staring at your portfolio every day like I have for 60 days. It makes you go nuts. So I think, yeah, the 2-year plan for me, I'm going to try to stick with that as best I can, and I've got to be patient. Patience is the key here, and yeah, just show a little bit of diligence, and like I said, don't emotionally get involved and invested in all these pumps and dumps. So that's all I got. Thanks for watching, and yeah, I've got some more videos coming soon, so cheers for watching.